All right, so now I want to take a look at graphing quadratic functions. So to graph them, what we're going to do is determine first if they're maximum or minimum. So are they opening up or down? And then find that vertex. And then we can start making a table of values. And you don't need to do too many. Once you get, I'd go 1 and 2 for your x values and solve for y. And that should give you a good idea of what the graph's going to look like. So here we've got 2x squared. So it has no c value, so I'm going to plot the vertex at 0, 0. So that's our first point. And now when x equals 1, so y equals 2 times 1 squared, that's going to equal, so maybe I'll just do a table here. So if this is x and this is y, we know that when x is 0, y is 0. When x is 1, y is going to be 2. Okay, so this gives me my first point. Next, when when x equals 2, so now we've got 2 times 2 squared, so that's just 4 times 2, which is 8. Okay, and we could go down 3. So 3, that would be 3 squared, which is 9. 9 times 2 would be 18. So right here, it's not going to fit on the graph. So that's kind of why I said the first 2. And then note that the axis of symmetry is going to be the y-axis, meaning that we're just going to mirror all these points over that axis of symmetry. So there, now we have 6 points, and we can just draw them and connect them. So there we've got our parabola, it's opened up, our vertex is at 0, 0. Okay, so the next one's going to be the same, except now we're going to drop our vertex down because now it's -2. It's still a positive a, so it opens up, and our axis of symmetry is still the y-axis. But now all it's going to do is drop everything down 2. So it's 0 is now -2. When x equals 1, you would get 0. When x equals 2, you'd get 6. And when x equals 3, you'd get 16. So now I can graph the 2 points. When it's 2, it's going to be 6. And once again, the axis of symmetry means I can just mirror everything over the y-axis. And then I'm going to connect those. And there you have the graphs. Okay, we're just going to go over 2 more. Kind of same thing, they're the same function, except one just has a -4. Actually, I'm going to make that a +4. And with that, I'll go ahead and do the bottom graph first. So x, y. And here, if our vertex, once again, is going to have 0, and then this +4 is going to be our y value for our vertex. Because there is no b value, so the axis of symmetry is going to be right down the y-axis. So here, once again, when x equals 0, y is going to equal 4. When x equals 1, 1 squared is 1. 1 times a -1/2 is going to be a -1/2. So then that would be 3.5. Because a -1/2 plus 5 is 3.5. Okay, next, when x is 2, then you get 2 squared, which is 4. -1/2 of 4 is going to be -2. Plus 4 is going to be +2. And then with 3, same thing. It's going to be 3 squared is 9. Half of 9 is 4.5. So then this would be negative. A negative 4.5 plus 4 is going to be negative 0.5. Okay, and once again, axis of symmetry means that we're just going to mirror those points right over the y-axis. So the first one, when 1 equals, 1's 3.5, and we can just mirror it over. When x equals 2, and then when x equals 3, we get a 0.5. And notice it's a smaller a value, so it is wider than these than the first two over on the left hand side, and it's negative, so now it's a mountain, not a bowl. Okay, and then the next one, same thing, except now it's just going to be moved down to. So we could fill this out fairly quickly. When it's 0, it's going to be 0. So there's no b value, so our vertex is at 0, 0. And then when it's 1, 2, and 3, 1, now we're just going to get negative 1/2, so negative 0.5. Then when it's 2, you're going to get negative 4. Sorry, not negative 4. You're going to get, when it's 2, it's going to be negative 2. And then when it's 3, you're going to get negative 9, which would be negative 4.5. Would be 9 times negative 1/2, which is 4.5. So now I can graph the points. And once again, that axis of symmetry is going to allow us to bring everything down. Allow us to mirror everything over the y-axis, each point. And so then we just connect them. And that's how you can graph these equations. So find the axis of symmetry, find the vertex, and the x is always going to be on the y-axis. And then your c value is going to give you your y value of or the y coordinate of your vertex. Okay, and then if a is positive, it opens up. If a is negative, it opens down. And then you can just pick 2 points, or 1 and 2, and then solve, and then just reflect over that axis of symmetry.